Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My mic's not working. I don't know why. It was pretty cheap, so I don't have big money to spend on the more fancy stuff, but you can help that if you like and subscribe. So that's the point. I'm the amateur where we just kind of talk about life, hobbies, politics, relationships, and what have you. And on today's episode, we're going to be reacting to a 21 Studios video about, I think his name is Coach Greg, responding to a feminist. And I made a comment under this video, but it got deleted, so. But besides the point, I think 21 Studios is one of the major YouTube channels, especially within the Manosphere, however you want to call it. And they do push out some great content. But I think this particular video was not handled in the best way, but I'll explain that a little bit better. Again, this is from the feminine woman perspective, however you want to call it, so take it with a grain of salt. You can absolutely disagree with me and put your comments in below, and I'll be more than willing to answer it. But without much further ado, we'll go ahead and get started.
I resent the fact that you're telling people that, well, she twerks, I didn't have to twerk my behind. I'm a professional woman and an accomplished woman. I have a man who's strong enough to stand up to that. And
you have a husband?
Respect me.
You have a husband?
It doesn't matter. I have
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Oh, hold up.
But
hold on.
no.
Go ahead and finish your question,
Okay.
but you're not
Listen,
married.
it doesn't matter that, it's not a matter of, is it a husband or is it a man, a real man? A real man is a man who's not afraid of a real woman.
Ooh.
A man who sits there and blames women for all their shortcoming is weak.
Okay, so she's actually very, 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 very much right with this. And this is something where I think the MGTOW movement really comes into play, as far as they kind of recognize where especially a lot of modern women, even traditional women, or they're just fed up with women in general. And so they're just going to go and do their own thing. They're going to take their lives into their own hands. They're going to not get tied up in all these relationships. They're going to take responsibility for themselves. And so, I mean, this goes for everything and everywhere, and you can see it in a lot of my videos. Like, men have that responsibility, they have authority, especially when it comes to the family, head of the household, what have you. And we can go further into that, but she's actually absolutely 100% right that, especially as a man, like even as a woman, it's weak for us to blame other men for our problems. This really goes for everyone, but especially for a man, because again, they've been granted or authorized or ordained, if you want to call it, with that higher authority, especially from God. And so it is weak for men to go around and blame other women for the problems that they receive, because again, both ways. But she's here in a Manosphere area, and I don't know what was said at the brief, but she's saying that you can't, like, we get it, women can be really, really horrible, it can be trash, you can be fed up and annoyed with them, but that's your decision if you're going to continue to entertain that or not, or if you're going to blame your own weak desires for chasing after a woman who's not chasing after God. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You need to know what God says is good in order to understand what is good. And if a woman is not good, she's not of God, don't go after her. The math needs to be mathing, you know what I'm saying? I like saying that phrase, I don't know why. But yeah, so it is weak, especially for a man. It is weak for anybody, but again, we're talking specifically for men, to blame other women or to blame even other men for their own shortfalls and their own downcomings, whether it is their fault or not. And again, extreme ownership, Jocko Willie, Khalif Babin, I think they have a podcast as well on YouTube, but they have that book that talks about just taking ownership in every aspect of your life, and that gives you that control to go where you want to go, if that makes any sense. So we'll go ahead and continue.
And in my opinion, if I have to tell you that you have to take responsibility for yourself. If you complain because you have to pay for your child to be raised, and you say it's because the women tricked you into it, you are weak.
So again, she's absolutely right. So again, especially when it comes to the raising of a child, it takes two for those things to happen. Unfortunately, with women, we have that burden of carrying that life for 9 months until it can be born. But it's like, you can't just take the man out of the equation, because he was part of the equation to begin with. And so both ways, like a woman cannot be upset that she had sex with a man who did not want to take responsibility for his actions, that did not have any intentions of raising a child, had no intentions of staying around, especially with her, and decides to run off. On the flip side, a man can also not be blaming women because he felt that he was tricked into having sex with her, and she wasn't on birth control, or she wasn't on whatever. But it's like, you have to take responsibility of your own actions. Like, you didn't have to have sex with her. Why are you having sex with someone that you don't see being the mother of your kids? Why are you having sex with someone that you don't want to stick around and support? Why are you having sex with someone just so you can stick it in and hit and not think about the consequences of your actions after that? So it's both sides. But again, men have that higher authority, so it's going to, that more of that responsibility is going to go onto them. It's not to say that that alleviates women of our own choices, but that is the reality, that men have that higher authority, that's what God has ordained, and especially when it comes to the family, and especially when you make a child with someone, that's your son, that's or daughter, that's your family, and you are that head of that family. And I get you don't necessarily have to stick around and provide for the mother, but absolutely for that child that you also brought into this world. So, continuing.
Opinion, you're weak. So, call it whatever you want. Paint it, you can take a pig and put makeup on it, it is still a pig. So, there are good women out there and there are good men out there. If you did not do your homework to pick that good woman and ended up in that place, don't blame every woman. It's not fair. I don't blame every man. I'm divorced. I was married for 20 years.
So, and again, she's not really asking a question as much as she is lecturing back at the host, which, take it what you will. She's not really answering questions. It's more like lecturing the lecturer, which is, no one really wants for that to happen. But again, she's not wrong. She's not wrong as far as you have to be able to understand what you're pushing out into the world, as well as who's coming to you, be able to look better. Women are going to be deceitful at all times, but what God has told us is, like, you, especially if men are going to be the head, you have to be first aligned towards God and always towards God, or you're going to be deceived by women who aren't being aligned with what God says. And if you see my video on feminism, which is Eden round 2, you see that, and you see the poison of women being deceitful and deceitful towards men. So it's really easy for men to figure this out. But if they're going to try to do their own thing and not do what God says, you're going to have a hard time, or a harder time than you need to. So
divorce. So I don't blame every man, and they're not Jezebel. Nobody calls me Jezebel or anything. I have a great man. I have a strong man. I have a strong man. Okay. That is what the problem.
That's enough of the question there.
And again, what she's saying is, you do a disservice, as we all do. It's part of our human nature to make these heuristics, make these stereotypes, and try to paint everyone under a specific characteristic under one single brush, when we know that's not the case. That's the issue with racism. That's the issue with misandry. That's the issue with misogyny. We're all individuals. We all have our own thoughts. We have our own beliefs. And it's unfair for everyone else to say all men are trash because 1% of the population decides to commit violent crimes, or all women are evil because, I don't know how many, it might be 50%. There's a lot more women that tend to do this, but because a large majority of women just want to use a man for his money or use him for his sex and then go run off to the next guy. Like, it's both. We are both the problem. We're both the issue, and pointing fingers is never going to solve anything. Sometimes you have to point it at yourself and be like, okay, what can I do? So, continuing.
That's my question.
What I'm going to tell you is, did you hear me say anything about good man or good woman? I didn't say anything about good man or good woman. I said real man, and I said it in the context of that. Now, did you hear me say all women? I never said all women.
Well, you certainly
So
implied
now,
it.
here's the deal. When I said all, if I say women, I say women statistically, overwhelmingly do these things, and the statistics back it up. And not only that, when I say it, if a woman hasn't done it, all you have to say is yet. She has the ability to do so. Now, the ability to do so is just as dangerous as her doing. And it's just as dangerous in society.
But under that context, and especially as we hear with women, because all men have the ability to overpower women, all men have the ability to rape any woman. We understand this, but that doesn't mean we go out thinking that all men are rapists. I mean, some feminists do, and they need some help. Literally, like they need some therapy to overcome their traumas. But point of the matter, like I didn't let him finish. I'll let him finish. But just to kind of interject again one more time is to say that we understand the ability to, and that's kind of what makes the relationship more intense. Again, single, virgin, there's a story behind that. We're not going to do that now, but especially when it comes to relationships, because even like and we know this is the scary part for a lot of people, especially when you're trying to enter into something that is a lifelong commitment, such that is marriage. Everyone has the ability and the opportunity to leave at any point. You heard the woman, she said she'd been married for 20 years and got divorced, and that's like scary, because like marriage is an investment. It is supposed to be a lifelong commitment, and then when that fails, that can be really, really devastating. And so I'll see what the rest he does have to say about that, but that's just kind of my input.
Are able to do it. Like, say for instance, I was able to just cheat on my wife, but I never did. But there was no penalty. Is it still dangerous that I'm able to do it? Is it dangerous to your relationship? Yes. So it doesn't negate the fact that you haven't done it, which you have. You've already been divorced. You're already not having a man as a husband. By that definition,
Maybe I don't want
you've
a man as
already
a
been
husband.
a statistic. You've already put your man through it. And I would advise that man, most likely, that you are as dangerous as anyone else that has done it.
Of course, you can
So,
always put
that's
your
the reality
weakness
of it.
out on me. But of course, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I can handle that. I'm woman enough to handle that, so I can handle that.
One more question.
I have a question for you. I do have a question for you. Do you really think feminism is the problem? I mean, whatever. First of all, it's such a broad definition. I don't even define myself as a feminist. That's ridiculous. I am a woman who actually succeeds, and I have a man who succeeds. I mean, it could be? It doesn't have. It's not a gender bias. It's just people succeed in what they do because they put the effort behind it, no matter what gender they are. So this whole thing. I mean, if we are to change the situation the way that it is right now, what we need to do is to find commonality. Is to find a place where we meet. To find a place where, in your case or in case of a lot of men that actually feel that women are the reason why they're going through what they're going through. What we need to do is probably look into ourselves. But even better, as the reason why I'm here.
Is there a question?
The
Give
reason
me
why
one question.
So the question that she asked is, do you think feminism is really the problem? Which my answer is yes. You see my videos. Feminism is most wholeheartedly the problem. It is a false belief. It's a false ideology. And it's rooted in evil. It's rooted in lies. And it can only birth lies. Lies birth from lies. We know this. So that's my answer there. But to her point, she is saying that especially if you are a man and you're blaming a woman for your problems, you're still missing the point. And if you're a woman and you're blaming a man for your problems, you're still missing the point. And what I was saying earlier, again, is like, yes, they have their faults, but the only thing that you can do, because you can't force anyone else's actions, you can't force their behavior, you can't force how they think, they can't force what they like. Only thing that you can do is be cognizant of yourself, be cognizant of what your beliefs are, what your values are, and be observant of what others are putting out into the world. Because the truth will always, always, always will show itself. Always. Always. Because that's how the truth works. The truth is the reality. And you can't, if there's some sort of lie or some sort of deception, then there's going to be a truth that can negate that. That's how that works. That's how this world works. So just keep that in mind. We'll continue this video. It's going a little longer.
Here is to find that place where you, myself, or all of us can sit here and find that one place of commonality. Not that place where I'm going to sit here and listen to people tell me, you are a slut, you are a this, you're not married. Well, maybe I chose that.
Okay.
Does that ever occur to you?
Go ahead and have a seat. What I'm going to tell you is this. Okay? So you're telling me the benefits of feminism, which I said there were. I already said there were benefits of feminism. There's women making more money. Fine. Great. There's women working. Fine. I can't decide for you as an individual what to do with your life. However, if you're going to do it with the benefits of feminism, okay, and as a result, take that carrot of feminism and not deal with the after effects and the opposite and accept it, well, then that's not smart. I'm not telling you you're wrong for making the decisions about your life. You can do whatever you want. But just know accepting this deal and then saying, well, I don't really agree with it, well, doesn't matter. Like if I walk into a courtroom and I'm ignorant of the law and I tell the judge, well, listen, I didn't know. I didn't know that was a crime. I didn't know that was going to have a negative effect. Your Honor, please let me go. Guess what the judge is going to say? Well, there are laws, there are consequences, there are repercussions. Doesn't matter if you're ignorant of it. Doesn't matter if you only accept this part of it. This is the reality of it.
So, to his point, and to what the woman is saying, is it's the same thing. They're saying the same thing, but I don't think, honestly, in my opinion, he's kind of reacting a little bit more emotionally, not like exertly so, but he's not like actually listening to what she's saying. I think it's just the fact that the words are coming from a woman, especially in this forum that's especially designated towards men. But what they're saying is what he's saying is like, you can't like if you as a man are ignorant of who that woman's character is, like you don't know that she's just super superficial and that she's super materialistic, that she only cares about sex and money, she doesn't care about who you are as a person, and you willingly enter into that relationship with her, not understanding what the impacts or consequences of doing so, you only have yourself to blame. Like, you only have yourself to blame, because you can't, just because you were ignorant of her and who she is doesn't mean that you get to just say these aren't my consequences, this is all your fault for being this way. Like similarly, so hopefully that really made sense how I was trying to phrase that. But that's like they literally are on the same page, but they're not seeing eye to eye, even though that's what she's kind of asking. Is just to like and this is kind of what I say in my videos, as far as there is definitely a balance to these things. We can point the fingers at one another all day long, but until you point it at yourself and realize that you're the person that's going to have to face and reap the repercussions of your actions, you're not going to be able to move forward as best as you can. Plug, this is also how Christianity works, so look into that more if you're not.
Now, you can continue to live this way and say these things aren't a result of feminism, but to me, that is leading with emotion. That's an emotional choice. I feel that. Most of the things she said was, I feel. I feel this, and I feel that, and I feel that. After I produced hours of evidence, data, statistics. See, when you come to my channel, I say, listen, I just talk for an hour and a half with evidence, data, facts, sources, research, and your feelings, you want me to consider your feelings. See, that's a female trait, and we pass that on to men. And now men, first thing they say, I feel.
That's not what she was saying. I have to go back. At least that's not what I heard her say. But I don't think she was coming from a place of feeling. She was just coming from a place of reality, and like she's not negating everything that he said, and that's again what we all have to kind of understand is like, especially as women. And again, I despise feminism. I don't vouch for it in any way, shape, or form. There have been some good things that came out of feminism, like the more awareness of domestic abuse and rape, but that has nothing to do with feminism, because like the Bible already teaches that to don't do that. So it's like you didn't need feminism in order to highlight that. Like you just needed to make sure people had the good morals and values. Besides the point, but yeah. So they're essentially saying the same thing.
Damn how you feel. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter how I made you feel. See, that's your feelings.
And again, this is kind of where the dichotomy of man and woman. He's not wrong to say this. And as far as women do tend to be more emotional, feelings do matter. They are absolutely important, but they do not trump reality and they don't trump logic. So feelings are important in the realm of truth. And so it's like, and this is, I think I've said in other videos, but we see this meeting perfectly in Jesus Christ, where we talk about truth and love. And so we understand how people react to emotions, how they feel, and their expectations of it, but you can't, like, hiding the truth from that is not going to further progress anything. So truth and love, feelings are important. You can't just disregard them totally, or that's how you become manic and psychotic and a serial killer, because you disregard other people's feelings and emotions and you have none from yourself. Like, you feel nothing. So don't get too far to one side, people.
I can't operate on each one of your feelings. I can just operate on my truth. Now, I'll deal with this real quick. I had one failed marriage, but shit, most people run around here with 2, 3. They got dead bodies, cemeteries worth of people they ridden on the cock carousel. So a lot of people fail at relationships. Specifically, 99.9% of relationships fail. If you're not with your sixth grade sweetheart, you failed. So don't turn my failure into that's why you believe that. You failed at plenty of relationships. And most of the time, it's some divorced woman that wants to come in. And I'm like, you're divorced. You're single. You might want to benefit from this information. Yes.
So again, I don't think that's what she was saying. I mean, he was divorced as well. You can say it both ways. Like, well, dang, man, you don't know how to keep and hold a lady, and to the lady, you don't know how to keep and hold a man. It goes both ways. It doesn't help just pointing fingers out. They're both definitely on the same page, but I don't think it was quite the roast that the title would have you believe. And I think we are at a point where we need to understand and recognize our differences, get back to the basis of good morals, good values, because every messed up woman was created from a messed up man. And that's a reality. That's like truth. That is a big fact, unfortunately. And you can come for me if you want, but those were just kind of my thoughts on that video. I made a comment, as I said before, and it got deleted. So a little sus, 21 Studio. So this is the video you get in response. So anyway, those are my thoughts. But I'm just amateur. What do I know? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.